Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the mental aspect of the game. Why is it so difficult? And we all know that all of us have mental challenges in the game of trading. Some of us really struggle with it. Some of us have found a way to manage and deal with it. But all of us throughout our trading journeys have gone through the struggle of the mental side of things. And then we'll move into what the Fortitude FX trading strategy is, what the philosophy is. We'll look at some trades that I've taken in the past, and we'll look at some entries. But before we do that, I want to quickly invite you to join my Discord right here. Basically, I have markups on the same strategy and the entries, hundreds and hundreds of markups that will give you a really good sense of an understanding, a visual understanding on what these entries look like. But anyways, let's go back and talk about the mental side of the game. So the question to you all is, why do we struggle, right? Why do we struggle with having a shiny ball syndrome? Why do we jump from one strategy to another strategy? And what is going on in our minds? Why can't we stick to one strategy? Why can't we execute to what our strategy tells us? And why do we struggle with the mental side of things? And I want you to take some time and reflect on this and truly reflect internally and ask yourself, why are you failing at this game? If you have a strategy that you know has a positive edge, right? You know it's more than 50% win rate, and you've executed it in the past in your back testing or when you were developing the strategy and even forward testing, you know it works, then why are we not able to develop that same consistency in our live trading? And you can pause the video right now and sort of reflect on this and then come back to it. The number one reason that I believe is because we haven't put the hard work in, right? And that is where the mental side of things really takes over, because we have a lot of self-doubt. We know that we may have an imposter syndrome, which is where we think that we are all that because our back testing and forward testing proves it, but we haven't truly put in the time and effort into making a belief system that the strategy that you're executing, if I execute the same day in and day out, will yield positive results over time, right? And I believe this is the piece that is truly missing from our understanding, right? And the best way to illustrate this, I'll give you an example from sports, right? If you look at tennis, if you look at Djokovic or the three guys, Nadal or Federer, or even if you looked at Kobe Bryant, what set them apart, right, at that level of sportsmanship? Because at that level, everybody's a professional. There is marginal difference between the skill set between number one, number two, number three, number four in the world in tennis, and some of the best players, NBA players, for example. So why was Kobe Bryant that much stronger mentally? And part of that reason is because he showed up to practice, right? He put in the hard work. It is often said, and it is kind of hailed about him, that he would be at practice 2 hours at least, an hour to 2 hours before anybody's there. And after that 1 hour and 2 hours, your coach and your teammates and the cleaning staff and the support staff will start walking in, and they will be surprised to see Kobe putting in that effort almost an hour or 2 hours before the practice session even starts, right? And this is the mindset that we need. And he's not coming in 2 hours early, trying to practice some fancy dribbling or trying to practice some fancy footwork. What he's doing is he is practicing the basics, the foundation of everything, the footwork, right? The dribbling part of things, just basics that we are taught in school as we're growing up on how do we dribble the ball, how should the footwork be, and that's what he's doing. Because practicing the basics and the foundation is the key. The professionals do it. Why can't we do it? And trading is a professional game, and we need to deal and address and go towards this game with a really positive professional mindset. And if you haven't put in the work, and what does work look like, right? And why do we then have the shiny ball syndrome? What does work look like? Work looks like that you have ample amount of time done in your back testing. You have meticulously journaled every aspect of your back testing, so you can analyze and draw trends on what is working and what is not working. So for example, what I mean is you spend 15 minutes, or I say 15 minutes, so you've spent a month, let's say, doing backtesting. And in your second month, you realize that, you know what, one variable is acting a little funny. So if I include that variable as part of my entry or as part of my filter, I get better results or I get worse results. Now, if you start capturing that variable in the middle of your backtesting journey, you've sort of wasted the entire first half because you don't know how that variable affects the first half of your backtesting journey, right? So when you sit down and start backtesting, really look at what is it that you want to capture. And I would suggest capture as much data as you can, so that when you look at it after 6 months or 3 months of enough data where you can statistically meaningful data trends, then you're confident that if I execute on these variables, these are the results that I expect. Oftentimes, we as traders, beginners and intermediate and sometimes even advanced traders, they fall into this trap where they have a strategy, right? It has a positive edge. It works perfectly fantastic in your forward testing as well. But once you start hitting a series of losses, 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, even 6 losses in a row, it starts playing a number on your mindset, right? You start thinking, is this even working? You start thinking, should I continue with this? Then you're scrolling on your social media and then you see another ad come up about 99% win rate, take every trade to the moon, but all of that does not work, right? You need to put in the effort to figure out what works for you. And I would ask everybody who gets onto this journey, make sure that you meticulously capture and journal everything that you're recording so that you can draw trends later on. The other aspect is, do we really understand what moves the market? I've seen this time and time again. Obviously, there are millions and millions of retail traders, and this has worked for them in the past. But patterns don't move the market, right? Pattern is something that reinforces your bias on something that is happening, which is completely unrelated to the pattern. So if you look at double tops, double bottoms, bull flags, and all that stuff, yes, you can identify those patterns, and then the movement of the market confirms that bias of that pattern working, and sometimes it does, but patterns don't move the market, right? That is something just like saying that, every time the planets align, something good happens in my life, and if I take a decision during that time, it is always right. But really, is the alignment of the planets the reason why your decision is going right? And I will put question mark, exclamation on that. Think about it for a minute for yourself. The reason the market moves is because there is an exchange between buyers and sellers, right? The candlestick patterns or the candlestick chart that you see is a footprint of what is happening in the market in terms of buyers and sellers exchanging goods, right? Goods in this case being currency, right? So I'm buying or I'm selling, and there's another person on the other end who is also doing the same buying and selling. And this exchange is captured as candlestick charts, what you see on a daily basis. And we try to analyze how these candlesticks are printing to get ourselves involved into trades that could give us a positive edge and consistently positive returns in the market. Now, fractal markets, what does that mean to us? Fractal market means, and you can find this on YouTube, pretty much all channels sort of explain this, means that the markets or the patterns of the candlestick that you see on your charts are independent of time, right? So if I showed you a chart of a daily chart and removed all patterns or time frames around it, you will not be able to tell me if it is a daily chart or if it's a 15-minute chart or a 15-second chart, right? The behavior on the market is the same right across the board, right? On all time frames. The daily will behave the same as a 15-second chart will behave. The only difference that the frequency or the timing is different. The daily is a much lower time frame. By the time things happen and your trade develops, months have gone by, right? Because each candle is a day, and if you're following a big SMC and you're waiting for the zone to hit and then look into entries, months could go by. Whereas the same thing plays out on the 15-second and only a few minutes go by, right? But independently, they are exactly the same. And we need to really treat them the same because there is a tendency in the market that truly don't understand what fractal nature of the market mean, that call out lower time frame noise. And it is not noise. Every candle that is printed, there is a reason why it prints. It is not printed randomly. There is information within that candle, and it is not noise. It is telling me what is going to potentially happen in the next candle or the candle after, or if a pattern is developing for me to trade. When I say pattern, I'm not talking about traditional patterns. I'm talking about what I want to see develop before I get involved into a trade, right? So if you whatever you take out of this, there are a couple of things that I want you to really reflect upon. Have you put in the work? Number one, because the amount of effort that you put in increases the self-confidence in your strategy and in your execution and in your ability to execute. If you don't put in the work, you will always, and nobody can tell this, but you will always within yourself subconsciously feel as if you are an imposter trying to be somebody that has not put in the hard work. Whereas when you start putting in the hard work, you will truly feel that now you got it, right? It comes to you, you feel it, and things become easy. And then you can obviously modify your strategy depending on your understanding of how charts move, and you can create an independent strategy. Of course you can, right? Stop moving from one shiny ball to another shiny ball. What that tells me is only a weakness in your character, because you're looking for shortcuts, you're looking for quick wins. Those quick wins maybe in the short term might work, but in the long term will fail you miserably. And that is even worse, because you will go into a mental cycle of depression, because every time you go on a winning streak or for a short term you win, you're not able to sustain it. As you're winning in the short term, you are risking more and more until that one trade comes that wipes everything out and you are done with trading, or you've put yourself in a pretty deep hole, right? So I want everybody to avoid the shiny ball syndrome and really put in the work and effort. And then the fractal markets, please avoid the thinking, the mindset that the lower time frames is noise. It is definitely not noise. There is a reason why every candle prints. It tells us a story, and that story is important for me to understand if a trade is developing for me to take or not take, right? There is no such thing as noise on candlestick, because that one candle could have billions of money being transacted across borders, and you just sort of ignore it thinking that it's a 5, 15 second or a 1 minute candle. That's not how it works, okay? So let's move on to what Fortitude FX strategy is. And it's very, very simple. This is not rocket science. This is something that I've just sort of, by experience, put together what works for me. We look at only two 15-minute candles, and we try to get involved in a trade based on the first 15-minute candle to ride the same direction of the trend in the second 15-minute candle, right? Very, very simple. And our aim is to catch the wick of the second 15-minute candle, right? So there you must have, it's impossible that you probably have not, but you must have observed that when a trend develops and you have multiple candles being printed in the same direction, what do they all have? They have a top wick and a bottom wick, right? And if you're going, let's say, bullish, you have the first candle that goes up, closes bearish, right? You leave the top wick, and the next candle starts creating a bottom wick and then goes in the same direction. And our job is to catch that start of the wick on the second 15-minute candle, right? We trade only London and New York. We don't trade, or at least I don't trade the 24-hour market. And the reason for that, again, is that there is an illusion, the forex world's 24-hour trading market. Obviously, the charts are printing, the candlestick charts are printing, and you will get into pretty good, awesome trades when there's lull in the market, or when London closes and New York is towards the tail end of their session. But think about it for a second. right? We are trading patterns or movement of candlesticks being printed on the chart, right? How does the candlestick print? With exchange of money, obviously, right? Now, if you have a lot of money being entered or injected as trading volume, as cross-country business, those candlesticks will be printing large volumes, right? So you'll have bigger bodied candles, you'll have much more sustained trends. Now, when does this happen? This happens during the stock market opens, right? So when the stock market opens, why is it important? Why is that bell so important? Is that when everybody is now allowed to trade. Banks pour in their money, and all that money that is get poured in gets reflected on our charts, and we want to take advantage of that money coming in to see where the trend is going to go. Now, if you're trading the lull time, right, where the markets have kind of slowed down on their momentum, what are you going to do, right? The candlesticks are printing. Maybe they're ranging, maybe they're not trending, and you will get involved in trades which are low probability, and you'll get into a lot of failures, right? So, which is why I say, yes, Forex is a 24-hour market, but unfortunately, we still trade the most highest volume timing, which is London and New York. And we'll look at some entries, mechanical entries that we have, because as much as you can build a strategy around mechanical setup and remove subjectivity, the higher your chances and confidence of executing that trade, right? If there is subjectivity involved every single time you want to get into a trade, your trade entry will depend on your mindset at the time. If you have a fearful mindset at the time, you will not enter the trade, even though that trade would be a winner and everything takes according to your strategy. But if your mindset is strong, then every poor quality trade setup will look like it's going to the moon and you're going to enter. And once you enter those trades where you end up with a series of losses, that's when you struggle big time. All right, guys, if you liked the content, please do subscribe, share, like, leave me a comment, and join my Discord. You'll have fun. Take care. Bye now.